Welcome, I'm Daniel the Interdisciplinarian. Today, I'd like to present a problem that our society could face in the near future. To build my case, I'll be taking two concepts from two different disciplines and will form a coherent narrative around the problem's structure. The first concept is liberal democracy. This concept originates in political theory and is, as was simply explained by John Locke, the principle that legitimate government arises only from consent, and that right to consent, in turn, stems from a fact of nature, human equality. The same notion was then reflected by Thomas Jefferson in the Declaration of Independence, where he wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." What this basically means is that power is passed up from the people with some form of agreement, like an election. And then the government in question gives its people inalienable rights. The colliding concept will be the idea of tech solutionism, a concept that stems from data studies. Tech solutionism, as described by Eugene Morozov, posits the Silicon Valley's ideology that to every problem we can find an app or tech-based solution. Now, in liberal democracy, the legislative actions of the government are slow and require constant debate. You might notice how long it takes for a state to make a decision, as opposed to, say, to an authoritarian regime, where actions are taken rapidly and then enforced with little delay. Since all power there usually stems from one or a few people, there is less time spent on debate or checks and balances. The delays and bureaucracies in liberal democracies are all part of the process, designed to extend the deliberation to make sure the action taken is in fact to the benefit of the people, or will cause more good than harm. Unfortunately, with the advent of the internet, social issues are rising far too quickly and need to be addressed at a much faster rate. Well, now you might think, isn't that something that technology could tackle? Well, yes, and that's kind of what's happening. Tech giants are gradually making it their responsibility to tackle complex social problems. The issue is that this is happening with little to no social discourse. The actions are often motivated by profits, and instead of decisions being made by the people, for the people, they are being made to expand the growth and profitability of big tech. One might ask why that would be a problem. Well, as tech solves more problems and legitimizes its capacity for influence, they over time start to replace the state. Questions that are meant to be deliberated on by representatives are instead tested on the populations, and then decided on by shareholders and marketers. If this trend continues over time, the state will lose its ability to compete with big tech altogether, and liberal democracy as we know it would be replaced by a technological monopoly state. And there are many historic examples as to why businesses shouldn't run that, which would now be the equivalent of the government. Now, is there a solution to tech solutionism? Once again, it is time for reform and doing what governments do best: regulation. Think of Facebook. It took 15 years for the US federal government to interfere in Facebook. And even then, this regulation is barely taking any power from the tech giant. If we want to keep the current state of people's power, we must regulate big tech now, and we must do it in a more efficient manner that would require changing the slow bureaucratic monoliths of the giant federal state. As posited by Kaufman in his review of Politics of Bureaucracy, and then furthered not so long ago by Vossen in The Absurdity of Bureaucracy, the systems of liberal democracy have led to a massive amount of meaningless actions and behaviors by civil servants that in a compounding fashion are making most social institutions ineffective or simply so slow their actions become irrelevant. One solution would be to flush out a lot of employees and replace them with active, younger members that would speed this process up and hopefully end tech solutionism, or at the very least, curb its exponential growth through regulation and an increase in efficient social services. Now there may be many other solutions to the problem. Post a comment with your answer to the tech solutionism problem down below. You get extra points if it's an interdisciplinary solution. Thank you for watching this video. If you got to the end, then feel free to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And my friend, have a great day.